It blew my whole roof off. So we were just laying in bed and the whole house shook.
We didn't see anything, but we heard all the wind and the hail hitting against the windows.
Big storms catch big country by surprise. Tonight, locals describe the terrifying night as cleanup begins. Good evening and thank you so much for joining us for KTXS. I'm Ryan Wolf. I'm coming to you from our sister station in San Antonio because the KTXS news station received significant damage in the overnight storms. Now, despite this challenge, KTXS is committed to keeping you informed. Our Brianna Gibbons begins our team coverage.
I'm Brenna Gibbons and I'm here at the KTXS station where Sunday night storms brought 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts. As you can see, the roof of our garage has caved in over the live van and our broadcast tower has collapsed over the station. KTXS meteorologist Kaden Dinkins was at the station and says the experience was unimaginable.
This is just absolutely insane. Our station is just completely ruined. Oh my God! Quite literally, our studio roof was ripped off of the hinges, if you will. The studio roof just flew off right above me and our chief meteorologist, Mark Rowlett, as we were trying to take cover kind of from an unexpected situation.
Kaden was outside watching the storm moments before the destruction occurred.
You don't ever expect to experience something like that. The power went out in the studio and the whole entire station, and we're walking back into the studio and you just feel this almost suction kind of taking you with these winds as this roof is pulling off. My ears popped. I felt like I was gravitating towards that area that was opening, and me and Mark, just all we could do was take cover and hope for the best.
She told us she couldn't even comprehend what she was seeing.
It's pitch black dark. You're walking in and you're just hearing things, and you go and see it in the daylight, and like I said, it's not something you can even imagine. Your whole workplace, the place we love, the place where we do what we love to do, is completely destroyed.
She said there were so many loud sounds that it was hard to make out what was happening.
Towers falling, roofs ripping off, bricks crumbling down in our garage. So we're just extremely lucky to be here completely unharmed, not even a scratch on my body, even though there was things flying around us, debris all over the studio, water pouring in, but just unimaginable situation.
KTXS will continue to update our web and socials with more information as we get it.
All right, Brenna, thanks for that. The National Weather Service in San Angelo sent teams to Taylor County to survey the damage, including at the KTXS station. Preliminary data points to straight-line winds up to 80 miles per hour causing that damage. Official reports are expected to be released later this week.
I'm meteorologist Michael Crowley here in Austin. Unfortunately, you saw what happened with the Abilene station KTXS, so we are sending our forecasts in from Austin. You probably know me from the weekend, in fact. And what happened in Abilene is definitely one of my worst fears. Having the studio itself be compromised by the very storms that we track. It's one of my biggest fears. It's terrifying for any on-air meteorologist, and our thoughts go out to KTXS and everyone affected in Abilene. Let's go over what happened last night with all of these storms. Very intense lines of showers and thunderstorms moving through all night last night. And for Abilene, you guys caught about 6 different supercells all in a row moving across I-20, causing some chaos as it did so. And the studio itself in KTXS was hit right at 11:15. This particular cell right there. And now, after we go over what happened last night, we're going to take a look at the forecast for the week ahead. There are some more storms that we're keeping an eye on.
New tonight, the U.S. military has activated 700 Marines to respond to protests in Los Angeles, declaring tactical alert. The city bracing for more protests as demonstrations over deportations got increasingly more chaotic and violent over the weekend. The National Guard is on the ground as a standoff plays out between the White House and Democrats in California. Matt Galka reports.
Demonstrations continued Monday after a weekend where protests escalated into violence in Los Angeles, the city becoming the latest flashpoint over immigration enforcement, with the president deploying the National Guard.
They were afraid to do anything, and we sent out the troops, and they've done a fantastic job.
Protests started following ICE raids at several locations in and around LA on Friday, including a Home Depot parking lot in Paramount, south of the city.
The people that are causing the problem are professional agitators, they're insurrectionists, they're bad people, they should be in jail.
The protests continued in the days that followed, shutting down some streets and freeways, with some self-driving cars being set on fire, clashes between protesters and law enforcement, and things boiling over following the National Guard's arrival.
This violence that I've seen is disgusting. It's escalated now since the beginning of this incident.
California officials blamed Trump's deployment of the Guard as the reason for the escalation, with the White House saying the situation was out of control before that.
It's an escalation that didn't have to happen. Why were there raids? You know, we had been told that he was going to go after violent criminals. It wasn't a drug den, it was a Home Depot.
White House border czar Tom Homan said over the weekend nobody was above the law when asked about the potential for government official arrests, as the Trump administration has repeatedly criticized Democratic leadership in California.
Come after me, arrest me, let's just get it over with. Tough guy.
I would do it if I were Tom. I think it's great.
Homan said Monday there were never any plans to arrest Governor Gavin Newsom.
We arrested a sexual predator, arrested gang members, arrested somebody that had an armed robbery conviction. So we made LA safer that day, but you're not hearing any of this. All you hear is a rhetoric about ICE being racist, about ICE being Nazis and terrorists, and Governor Newsom feeds that.
Newsom vowed Monday to sue the Trump administration over deploying the National Guard and cutting out state leadership in the process, saying Trump flamed the fires of the situation, and it's exactly what the president wanted. Reporting in Washington, I'm Matt Gelka.
2 people are dead after a shooting near the Bellagio fountains on the Las Vegas Strip. That shooting appears to stem from an ongoing social media dispute. Police say 41-year-old Manuel Ruiz, known as Sin City Manny, has turned himself in to face murder charges. He was feuding with a YouTuber known as Finny De Legend, who was reportedly one of the victims. The shooting, live streamed on YouTube, has been removed. Instances of deadly violence are rare on the Strip. A boat carrying humanitarian aid to Gaza was stopped as it was approaching an Israeli port. Among the group, several activists were detained, including Greta Thunberg, who at 15 years old became known around the world for her protests against climate change.
My name is Greta Thunberg and I am from Sweden. If you see this video, we have been intercepted and kidnapped in international waters by the Israeli occupational forces or forces that support Israel. I urge all my friends, family and comrades to put pressure on the Swedish government to release me and the others as soon as possible.
Sweden's foreign ministry says it has already contacted Israeli authorities about the situation. The Israeli foreign ministry says the boat was safely making its way to Israel and that the crew will be deported. The group says their trip to Gaza was, quote, a peaceful act of civil resistance against Israel's blockade of Gaza. Ukraine's drone attack on Russia's strategic bomber fleet is raising a lot of questions about the future of warfare. Some security experts say large nations like the U.S. face a serious challenge now that $35,000 worth of drones can be deployed to destroy bombers valued at $7 billion. That goes for tanks and possibly even ships. It's a problem for offensive and defensive weaponry.
Anybody with large bomber aircraft or large ships is going to look at this and say, you know, are these things worth the investment? Is warfare changing to favor these small, cheap, nimble, unmanned devices? And I think it is.
Other analysts are weighing what this could mean for U.S. national security, whether drones could be smuggled onto shipping containers and then once inside moved into the interior of the country to target military bases. American and Chinese trade representatives are trying to get negotiations back on track in London this week. Each side has temporarily lowered what were triple-digit tariffs on each other. But as national correspondent Atra El-Najjar reports, they're still far apart on some sensitive issues.
President Trump's economic team emerging from almost 7 hours of talks with their Chinese counterparts Monday, meeting on neutral ground in London, seeming to play out longer than the Trump administration had hoped.
I expect it to be a short meeting with a big, strong handshake, and we'll see. But that's what we're expecting.
No handshake yet. A second day of talks is set for Tuesday. This is the second round of talks between the delegations, meeting after a phone call between President Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping to address an unraveling agreement.
We had a very good talk, and we've straightened out any complexity. It's very complex stuff.
Last month, the two sides met in Geneva, where they each agreed to lower what were triple-digit tariffs and a range of non-tariff barriers. For China, that included access to their rare earth minerals.
And they were kind of releasing them, but it was going a lot slower than some companies believed was optimal.
China controls about 90% of the world's supply of these minerals and magnets, vital to tech and defense supply chains.
If they're slow rolling, sending those to the U.S. because of some licensing deal that they set up, then it could potentially disrupt production for, some U.S. companies that rely on those things.
China, meanwhile, accused the U.S. of violating the Geneva Agreement, pointing to its export controls on semiconductors and a new State Department policy to aggressively revoke visas for Chinese students.
The White House says they've really had to put all their time and energy into the China issue, but they say once it's back on track, India is at the top of their list of trading partners they hope to strike a deal with before the president's tariff pause expires 1 month from now. In Washington, I'm Atra Al-Nashar.
The president's latest travel ban for a dozen countries now in effect. Those countries mostly include Muslim nations in Africa and the Middle East. It also applies to Myanmar, Republic of Congo, and Haiti. Partial restrictions are also in place for 7 additional countries. The ban does not apply to permanent residents or travelers with existing visas. This comes after last week's attack in Boulder, Colorado, where officials say an Egyptian national overstayed his visa. A union representing the Department of Education employees says the government is paying millions of dollars to keep employees on administrative leave. According to the union, the government is paying more than $7 million a month. They say it could continue for several years as court battles play out. Hundreds of people lost their jobs in March, with many more taking voluntary buyouts. It was part of President Trump's plan to dismantle the department. A court decision last month blocked the plan to shut down the agency. Construction on 2 new rec centers leaves parents without affordable child care. Hear from concerned families next. The body of a man who had been reported missing was recovered from Lake Brownwood. Body of 26-year-old man pulled from the lake this morning, according to the Brown County Water Improvement District. The victim had been reported missing Sunday night from Flat Rock Park. The Lake Patrol and Texas Parks and Wildlife Conduct were at the lake conducting recovery operation, but had to call it off due to the severe weather in the area. The name of the victim has not yet been released. A Sweetwater man is in jail after a weekend standoff with police. Sweetwater police say Salvador Hernandez was wanted on a parole violation for possession of heroin with intent to deliver. When officers tried to arrest Hernandez, they say he barricaded himself in a house in Sweetwater and refused to come out. Police eventually got a warrant, entered the home, and arrested Hernandez without incident. He's now facing additional drug charges and engaging in organized criminal activity.
I'm Copeland Welch in Abilene, where construction is in full swing on 2 recreation centers. But parents say timing couldn't be worse, leaving them without affordable childcare options over the summer.
Progress is not progress if people get left behind. And when we're leaving behind the most vulnerable people in our population, what are we progressing towards?
Ashley Haynes says her son relied on the rec center for socialization, and without that.
And now, my son is home alone, and he is feeling very isolated and very depressed. He's missing his friends from camp. That was really the main way that he stayed active through the summer, was with the camp. And now he's kind of sitting there playing video games, cut off from his friends, not able to socialize, not able to stay active. So
I talked to another mother who says she's concerned about resources and the kids' well-being.
It's a safety issue. I know they're working with the YMCA and with the Boys and Girls Club, but I don't know that they're going to be able to handle the overflow of the kids.
Haynes says the program was not only a safe option, but affordable.
There's just nowhere really for him to go. And we've been pushed kind of towards the Boys and Girls Club, which has an 83-person long wait list, or the YMCA, which also has a really significant wait list, and it's $1,600 for the whole summer. So the Parks and Recs program was $400 for the whole summer. The YMCA, $1,600 for the whole summer. That's just not affordable.
Beltran says in today's economy, a fair price is important for many families.
I just know how important it was for us as a family. My kids are grown now, but the financial aspect of us being able to know that it was something that we could afford. It was safe and reliable.
Haynes says she hopes priorities are in order.
I don't feel like we need another bar with $16 cocktails. I feel like kids need somewhere safe to go.
According to the city's Parks and Rec department, construction on the centers is expected to be complete early next year.
Abilene City Council will meet on Thursday to vote to approve a $900,000 emergency purchase. That purchase to include various phones and computers from vendors in response to the city's cyber attack event. The IT department director for the city also added they're hoping to replace unaffected, outdated technology as well.
So this is Katie and her daughter Charlotte, and she has a really personal story about moms and stress and what we all need to know. I'm Liz Bonus. We'll share it just ahead.
I'm meteorologist Michael Crowley. After a hectic night last night, we're going to take a look at what's ahead for the week as we forecast potential more rain chances and more potential thunderstorms. So stormy week is in our forecast. Yesterday's storms, they rode along I-20, causing some chaos as they did so. Many supercells, severe thunderstorm warnings with extremely dangerous situation tags, which if you don't know, that's the highest level of severe thunderstorm warning that you can get. Winds as high as 90 miles per hour and hail the size of grapefruits were reported. So insane thunderstorms moved through last night, and we're expecting to see even more potential as we go into the evening ahead of us. Now, fortunately, a lot of this activity in the early afternoon is not going to be as severe. I would say this category could be strong as we go past 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. That's where we're expecting those severe storms, especially for northwestern sections of West Texas and over towards the west in other areas west of Abilene near Snyder and portions of San Angelo. So as we go forward in time, the timing of this is going to be, unfortunately, once again at night. So this is going to give you a bit of deja vu from last night's thunderstorms, dealing with it in the dark. Going to be doing that once again. 11 p.m. to 2 a.m., Snyder, Lubbock, Midland, Texas, as this pushes off towards the east, San Angelo, Brownwood, Abilene, and Throckmorton. Fortunately, though, this looks to be a much less severe event. Much of these thunderstorms are not well put together like they were last night. And I do think Brownwood and San Angelo, you guys may dodge everything altogether because these thunderstorms are losing their energy as they make their way down towards the southeast. And Throckmorton, you may not catch anything at all. So that's the good news, but we are still watching this potential for some thunderstorms and severe weather. Let's time it out for you. As we go into the 10:30 hour, Snyder once again getting in on some of those showers and thunderstorms, pushing towards the south in the big country near San Angelo, down towards the south as well. And as we go into the early morning hours at around 2:30 a.m., that's where we see a lot of that action potentially move into Throckmorton. Abilene looks to dodge a lot of it, but these forecast models are a bit all over the place. But I do have to say that this one absolutely predicted last night's perfectly in terms of where the heaviest of the downpours will be. So just be on guard. It looks like a lot of this will be weakening as it makes its way into the region, but we're still watching for some very active weather in our forecast. For now, we quiet down for the end of the week.
A new study shows moms are stressed out. Medical reporter Liz Bonus shares the story of one mom who's speaking up so that others will know help is available.
Hey there, everybody, this is Katie Harper and her daughter Charlotte. And Katie is sharing a story today with us so others know it is sometimes okay not to be okay.
A lot of women don't know everything that I know about what to look for.
Little Charlotte is now 2 and quite the bundle of energy.
Oh, there's a big drop off.
But Katie says a short time after Charlotte was born,
it hit me like a ton of bricks. I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't eat. I cried all the time.
Luckily, Katie also works for the National Alliance for Mental Illness, or NAMI as we know it, and knew she was in danger.
It felt like the walls were closing in on me. All I wanted to do was hold her. I didn't want anyone near her. It was a few weeks of just like this intense, scary darkness and anxiety.
Because Katie's feelings hit early, she reached out to her women's health provider and got counseling and support right away. But this new study published in JAMA Internal Medicine shows many women are struggling from early on in parenthood and not getting that help. After surveying nearly 190,000 mothers over 8 years, researchers found only about 25% could say that their mental health was excellent. It was about 40% at the start of the study.
We don't talk enough about postpartum depression and postpartum anxiety and how that has such an influence on like the whole life cycle of a mom, right?
Katie has continued counseling, she says, and regularly takes medication to manage her mental health and anxiety. These concerns so common now among moms, she says NAMI recently updated its guidance online. Katie told me she has mental health training and motherhood is still hard. So if you're struggling too, she wants you to know this.
It's common, but it's not normal, right? So I think a lot of women hear, oh, well, this is just what it is. So, I have a baby and I'm gonna feel this way. Well, you don't have to feel this way, there's help.
Katie says reach out for that help by calling 988, which can direct you to resources in your area. And NAMI, she says, can also do that online. She says it's important for her, but it may be important to you to show that strong women do ask for help. With your health news, I'm Liz Bonus reporting.
President Trump wants newborns to get a jump start on investing. The proposal would provide every American newborn with a $1,000 investment account tied to the stock market. It's a key proposal in the Republican domestic spending bill, which the president calls the Big Beautiful Bill. The president says parents, guardians, or other private entities can contribute up to $5,000 additional dollars every year.
This is a pro-family initiative that will help millions of Americans harness the strength of our economy to lift up the next generation, and they'll really be getting a big jump on life.
The president claims the initiative will be fully funded through target reforms in the bill. All right, we are swinging for the bats next in sports. Stay with us.
Good evening, Big Country. Well, the college sports season has wrapped up for the Big Country, but that means it's a good time to reflect and look back. And for the ACU Wildcats, well, it was one of the most successful athletic years in school history. Whether that was winning a conference title in baseball or football, or just making a deep postseason run on the basketball court, the Wildcats roared themselves right into the national spotlight several times with a historic year.
This year was special. You mentioned the competitive success that we saw, football conference championship, first time in the playoffs, seeing our baseball team win a regular season championship. But 15 of our 16 teams either tied or improved on their standing from the year before. So we're seeing improvement across the board, and that's fun to see. Not a surprise. We've invested in our programs in ways we hadn't in the past. We've hired coaches that are great mission fit. So to see that success is great, but I actually think this is just a progression into where we're going. I don't think we're satisfied with where we are, and I would anticipate this being something that we can build on going into next year as well.
And going from one program that's seeing some success to another, the Abilene Flying Bison are soaring to start their year, winning 4 of their first 5 series, including 3 straight. And not by just 1 or 2 runs, no. 9 out of the 11 wins that the Flying Bison have had have come from 10 runs or more. And we heard from one of the Flying Bison players about their success and what's contributing to it.
Right. They keep bringing in guys over and over. They bring in guys who, pitchers are going to pitch, hitters are going to hit. No matter who they bring in, it seems that Coach Dyson and all these other assistant coaches they make us gel. And it really feels like it's a team here. And no matter who we play, what league we're in, how long we've been around, we're going to play. And we've been hot.
And these Bison will look to continue to fly high to start this season as they host Piney Woods later this week. For KTXS Sports, I'm Tyler Green.
Like seeing the black version of the Beatles. He had the sensibility of the street, the church, and then like the qualities of a Motown.
Tonight we were remembering the legendary funk musician Sly Stone. He passed away peacefully today at the age of 82. The Texas native, widely known as frontman for the popular music group Sly and the Family Stone. You'll remember his songs Everyday People and Dance to the Music. But loved by family, lauded by fans, Sly Stone leaves behind a legacy of rhythm and harmony. Popular fast food restaurant is bringing its ice cream and burgers to the south side of Abilene. A new Brahms ice cream and dairy store will be opening on Memorial Drive. That store holding a week-long of celebrations, including free scoops for the kids till the 28th. We do appreciate you stopping by. Thanks for watching KTXS, and thank you for being patient with us as we cope with recovery damage from the storms that rocked Abilene. Count on us for your news, weather, and sports, and of course, anytime online at KTXS.com. I'm Ryan Wolf. Have a great night.